This is Rene Harrop's take on the Thorax Dun. It's a PMD that I have fished at Henry's Fork successfully, I might add. Hooked two good fish with this fly. I'd like to say I landed both, but I landed neither. Lots of weeds in the Wood Road 16 area. The fish get down in there and there's no getting them out. This is the number 16 dry fly hook. Tiemco works, or this is a Daiichi, I think. I'm using yellow thread here, obviously. Start at the eye, go all the way back, and then go back to the 50% point on the hook, right about halfway. And this is something interesting Harrop does. He ties in the tail here. The tail should be about shank length, the way he does it. I like a long tail. This is probably a little longer than that. And then post the thread at the 30% mark on the hook, about a third of the way down. It's not quite as centered as the Marinero. It's two Dun CDC feathers back to back. Tie them right on top of the hook using a pinch. Just take a few turns back, trim it with just a couple of cuts. This is I've watched Rene Harrop's video several times. So this is pretty much how he ties this fly, as close as I can come. Rene Harrop's one of my favorite tiers, and I've got a lot of favorites, but he's a great one. Great fly designer. And now we go all the way back to the bend, binding down the tails, and then he likes to spread the tails. He doesn't elevate them, but he spreads them with 2 or 3 wraps behind to get a nice spread. And he says that this helps support the heaviest part of the fly, which is the bend and the barb, etc. At this point, notch down with a PMD biot. I tie it on the far side of the hook. He ties it a little more upright than this. Ties it in a little more upright, and he faces the notch backwards. So down or backwards, depending on how you're tying it in. Wind the biot. I use biots from a left biot feather. That's a feather that has most of the bulk of the feather will be on the left, and you'll use the biot side, which will be on the right. This is Canada Goose, which has great segmentation. Try to get 3 or 4 segments showing, black lines showing. Notice how much shorter this wing is than Vince Marinero's wing. And he ties a Grizzly Hackle in here, and he elevates it slightly with a turn behind the hackle. Bind it down well. Go back to the hackle, and at this point we'll dub the fly. I'm gonna in Rene Harrop's honor, I'm dubbing it left-handed. He does all his dubbing left-handed, which is a great way to do it, by the way. I, the only thing I don't like about dubbing left-handed is it's more pinching with the left hand. And if you've got carpal tunnel, which most tires who tie a lot, myself included, have some carpal. Rene Harrop's got it very bad. He's got a special brace he wears when he ties. It's you know, part of the game. Back problems and carpal tunnel. I wish I could dub thoraxes like Rene Harrop does. His thorax dubbing is just superb, and I've never figured out the trick. He separates. He takes 2 turns behind and 2 turns in front, but separates them out so that there's a little space between each turn of Hackle. And then hold the feather up. He traps it once, which I like, with a turn in front of the feather and then a couple more behind. So it's just 4 turns to tie this Hackle off. I've got a couple strays here. Get rid of them. Rene Harrop always does a 6-turn whip finish. The way this fly panned out, I could only get 5. So I did 5. And this next part might be the only hard thing about this fly, really. It's a pretty easy fly to tie. You want to cut off flush with the bottom of the hook, and then cut out a V in the center. And that wasn't going well, so I angled the hook towards myself so I could see better. And you want to leave a little stubble in the middle there, so you're not cutting it off flush to get your your V. Bottom line, the fibers in the center should be shorter. The fibers outside that should be longer, which imitates a mayfly pretty well. And that's all there is to this fly. And it is effective. I don't know if it's as effective as Marinero's. Only the fish could tell us that.